Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Another soggy day across North Mississippi as we get into the latter part of our Wednesday. Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 5. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor and been tracking those light showers all day long, but paired with those northwesterly breezes, it has made for a cold afternoon across the area. And I'm using cold because that's how I felt as I left the house this afternoon. Light rain does continue into any of those evening plans, so keep that rain gear on standby, but breezy conditions continue as well, and we'll look at that here in just a moment. Also, speaking of, we are in that home stretch of the work week, which means football is in our sights along with trick-or-treating. Just a ton to do this weekend. What to expect for both of those forecasts, we'll walk through that here in just a moment. So welcome into the Room to Room Weather Center. We're excited to have you here with us at the 5 o'clock hour. Again, it is going to be a soggy evening across the region, but rain chances starting to drop just a bit. We're only at 20% by 6, and those chances become around 10% into those post-sunset hours. So yes, rain gear will be necessary, but as we head further into the night, that rain gear will be less needed as those showers dissipate on out. So let's go ahead and get a look outside. This over in 8 to 10, Oktibbeha County still dealing with a few of those rain showers. As you can see, clear as day on the lens. 50 degrees though, not too much of a difference from where we were sitting at this morning. Shows you that there's been little temperature disparity as the day has gone on. Now, Blue Springs getting a little bit of some ponding on those roadways, so drive with caution. 48 degrees though, it is cool enough to maybe even have that heat on in the car. Again, I did, but I've learned that I'm just a thin-skinned person because I can't handle the cold. But anyway, the reason why it's so cold is because those winds coming in out of the northwest at about 10, 15, maybe even 20 miles an hour sustained wind gusts, especially out there in the Delta where that wind advisory is in effect. Cleveland 22 miles an hour, Greenville 18. Let's factor in gusts. My word, it is breezy. We're tracking 32 in Grenada, 29 Cleveland, 33 towards Belzona, even out east to 55. We're 24 in Eupora, 16 in Amory. So gusty conditions will still be the story as we get into those evening plans, along with that moisture. It just makes for, honestly, it feels a little bit like winter if you went outside. But we have a new addition to our coverage, and that is going to be a drone high up in the sky. We'll be able to have eyes up there during any of our severe weather coverage. So exciting addition with that, but I was able to take it up this afternoon. Went way high up into the sky, and I was concerned about it because with gusty conditions, it's like, please stay in the sky. And fortunately, it did. So those gusts going to be off and on. You might get a break like I did with that drone, but probably not wise to take it up in the air whenever you're seeing winds like that. Mississippi Live Weather Radar, this is what we're seeing right now, and a lot of this is just going to be that light precipitation and a good bit of it, honestly, not reaching it to the surface. As we track some of those rainfall totals, definitely has throughout the day. If we populate in a few of those totals, we can see that we have gotten, am I unable to? Might have. You know what? I'm going to find a way to, because I feel like we need to definitely take a note on that. There we go. Okay, I don't know what it was doing. Okay, so as we populate in a few of these totals, we can go down there towards Clay County. We're talking 1.5 inches. Same thing towards Calhoun County, 1.2 inches. So a large portion of North Mississippi, we said around an inch. And we really have gotten around that same margin. As you can see, 3/4 of an inch all the way up to an inch all across the eastern side of 45. When we look north and west, even folks up there have gotten a decent output of rainfall. They're in northeast Arkansas, 3/4 of an inch. Around DeSoto County, 1.2 inches. So folks up there, grateful for the moisture that they have received, but you kind of see that development, that movement of those showers as they progress through the area with that moderate development as we got into this morning, circulating back around that wraparound moisture that we were talking about. Now a good portion of what we've gotten towards the south part of Highway 82 is from last night, but we've gotten some additional totals, reaching it up to an inch in a lot of locations. So folks around the area, yes, it is a soggy forecast, but doing exactly what needs to be done, and that's watering our plants, keeping everything hydrated as we still are in that very dry season. Just expanding things out because I know what you're seeing, a big L in North Mississippi. Not exactly a good look for North Mississippi whenever it is a big L right over the top of us. But that L is associated with the low pressure center, and we are getting that term called wraparound moisture. We've been talking about it over the past few days, and with this occluding right over the top of us, that's where we do have that counterclockwise motion. Of course, getting some of that moisture, some of those showers that are out ahead, getting all the way around into North Mississippi once again. So the soggy forecast will continue as that low remains over the top of us, but that low dissipates out and we get that other development out there towards the east. This was still the heart of that low, that redevelopment up there on the eastern side of Tennessee. That's where that moisture is going to move off to. So what we have here in North Mississippi dissipating on out, we'll be left with mostly dry conditions. If we bring it back in for a closer look here towards North Mississippi, you can kind of see that isolated development there by 3 a.m. But even then, that's why it's about 10% coverage. It's not going to be overly extensive. And that carries over into those morning hours as well. So as we're heading out the door, 7, 8 o'clock on your Thursday morning, you can see cloudy conditions east of 55. But that is shifting away, pushing out towards the east. And we'll be getting what folks in West Mississippi will be getting by the afternoon. Oh my word, I thought someone fell outside. Ooh, that scared me to death. Okay. So everything's okay, I promise. So all this cloud cover transitions east, and this drier, clearer air will push into the region, covering all of North Mississippi and giving us, yes, that sunshine that we have not seen for several days now. But the thing that you need to note with this forecast, look at those winds. Breezy conditions for our Thursday coming out of the northwest, and that's what's giving us that drier and cooler air. I mean, you can see wind gusts right here, 10 to 15 miles an hour. Sustained winds could be upwards of 20 miles an hour for some of those wind gusts, similar to what we're getting right now. So temperatures, they are going to warm up a little bit more tomorrow, but still getting that cool feel because of that little wind chill that we'll be experiencing. 47, 6 a.m., 48 by 9, 60 there towards the afternoon. So yes, things are going to be a little bit different for our forecast on our Thursday, but nonetheless, it's going to be drier, and that's the thing to note because, I mean, I've missed the sunshine. Excited to have it back. So coming up here in the next 60, we're going to walk through county by county where that forecast is going to push into, where that drier air will move into, and of course what to expect for those Friday night football games, all coming up here in the Room to Room Weather Center, coming up in the next 60.
At Bulldog Burger, we take the burger game to the next level, like the Freshman 15, stacked with panko fried mozzarella. Unleash your appetite.
It's the TikTok sale at Room to Room Furniture. You have 4 days. The more you snooze, the more you lose. Wake up. It's the TikTok sale at Room to Room Furniture.
Hi, my name is Rosie. Regional Rehab Center helps kids like me by offering speech therapy, occupational therapy, and dyslexia therapy. Your support helps so many of us get what we need to grow and succeed. Please help the Rehab Center.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Hurricane Melissa continues to wreak havoc just off the coast of Cuba as that strong, slow-moving storm moves north and northeast. What we're getting on satellite imagery right now, unfortunately, that sun is setting, so not getting those visuals like what we were having before. But we do have this strong storm still at the center right there, and that bubbling at the center shows that there's still a lot of convergence at the surface, allowing for some stronger wind gusts, lots of storm surge still associated with it for islands out there close to the Bahamas. So if anyone is out there, make sure to let them know. Hopefully you're staying in touch with them and keeping posted on just how things are going over there. We're still getting some of those damage reports out of Cuba and Jamaica, and it's just devastating to see all that has happened so far. Melissa, definitely a historic storm in regards to its impacts, but also just the statistics. I mean, this is a storm like we have not seen since 2019, and before then was about 1935. That's the two that we can compare it to, as it did tie that record for strongest storm in the Atlantic. So our thoughts and prayers still with folks over there, and again, we are hoping for a speedy recovery. If we track out Melissa, you can see that 4 o'clock advisory showing 90-mile-an-hour winds and 974 millibars at the surface, at the center. If you remember correctly, when it was moving into Jamaica, it was about 892. So things have definitely shifted, and Melissa just left at Category 1 hurricane strength, carrying over there towards the north-northeast. May re-intensify for just a moment, but we're not expecting a full re-intensification. Definitely not going to have any impacts here in the United States. That going to carry out into the Atlantic, a term that we call a fish storm, because that's what it's going to be affecting, is fish out in the Atlantic, not us here in the lower 48. So that'll carry over into your weekend before it moves into the northern Atlantic and far away from us here in North Mississippi once again. So if we get a look outside, here's our forecast, and it's not going to be anything hurricane or tropical like weather. This is going to be that frontal system that has been progressing through the region all week, except for Monday, so the last couple of days. So Mississippi Live Weather Radar still having a little bit of those light showers in the forecast, working their way on through due to some of that wraparound moisture. If we look at those rainfall rates, let me get over here to populate them. We're not talking about anything too significant. Let me just put a few numbers on screen here real quick. So if you remember correctly, we were tracking about just under an inch in some of our peak rainfall yesterday. At most, a quarter of an inch, but realistically, we're just adding a few hundredths to those rainfall totals, so rounding out around an inch for the entirety of North Mississippi. But Caledonia left with those soggy conditions, 51 degrees right now, and those winds working to shift a little bit, coming out of the southwest down there in Lowndes County. Up here in Lee County, already feeling that northern shift, and trust me, you will notice as you head out the door because it is chilly. And as we look out there towards Kosciuszko, you can see church right there in the background. Folks about to head out there for our midweek services. 48 degrees though. Make sure to have the layers on top. I guess it would be underneath the rain jacket. There we go, because we want to stay dry and then stay warm underneath it. So that's the layers we need to be doing. Your church forecast, limited rain chances do continue into this evening. 20% coverage by 6, 10% by 8, and same thing around 10 o'clock. Temperature-wise, I do have low 50s, but like we saw in Atala County, some areas are already below that 50-degree threshold. So let's track out Futurecast, why don't we, for your Wednesday evening plans. Those light showers already being overpopulated compared to what radar is actually giving us. So expect a little bit less coverage than what Futurecast actually shows, but it does have those chances at least trying to linger in our forecast by that 7, 8, and 9 o'clock threshold. So any of those service plans, make sure that you have that rain gear as you're walking out. While it is a little bit more isolated to scattered, we do have the potential to at least see a little bit more of that rainfall. And if you're like me, you don't really want to get wet when you head out the door. So 10 p.m., a lot of those chances just pushing out towards the east, and that's where a lot of that moisture will carry off to as we head overnight and into our early morning Thursday. Speaking of early morning Thursday, as we get to our morning commute, you can see how that pattern really starts to shift. What do we have right here? Well, moisture basically on the east side of our viewing area. Expanding things out, we have dry, clear air on the west side of our viewing area, and that is going to be encompassing a large portion of North Mississippi beyond that forecast. And I don't think this is edited rightly. Golly, this graphic just threw my brain for a loop. This is not the correct temperature, so don't look at this. We're going to move on from this, and we got to fix that graphic before the next show. Drop off 46 degrees. That's what we expected to be at tomorrow morning. It's still a cool start, but definitely not the 40s. We're more upper 40s by that margin, and trust me, when it's in this temperature range, we'll take every degree that we can get. 54 by lunch and 59 by that final bell. We are seeing mostly sunny skies for any of those afternoon plans. A great forecast, and finally talking about some sunshine. I'm so ready to see some sunshine in that sky. We keep Futurecast going into your Thursday morning, and of course you see that cloud cover moving out with those showers, transitioning our atmosphere to a much calmer, a much drier, a much clearer, a much cooler forecast going forward. So that's what we can look forward to as we head into the latter part of our Thursday. Mostly sunny skies, already getting there into Bruce, Eupora, and Kosciuszko, but all of that cloud cover does push out there towards the Alabama state line into the afternoon time frame, leaving the entire area with at least mostly sunny conditions. So 3 p.m. on your Thursday, yes, it's going to be a great time as we wrap up the school day. But into the late afternoon, cloud cover does build back, but partly cloudy skies. That's really the extent of the moisture that we'll see in the air. Not going to have any rainfall associated with it. If we keep that forecast going, into our Thursday afternoon, temperature-wise going to be in the upper 50s, low 60s, 57 Red Bay, 62 Columbus, and 61 around Greenwood. This is going to be slightly higher than what we reached today. That's because a lot of the moisture is out of the forecast. We're not having that blanket in the sky, and sunshine is actually reaching us here at the surface. So let's keep that forecast going throughout your Thursday night. And staying on the drier side, once again, winds becoming a little bit diminished, meaning that it'll not be those breezier conditions like what we'll have for the next 24 hours. But it is going to be an enjoyable forecast for our Thursday evening. Finally, some calmer conditions that we can enjoy, and that sticks around for the start of our Friday as well. Friday, end of the week. We've been longing for this, awaiting this, and it's going to be a good forecast as we wrap it up. Plenty of sunshine throughout our Friday, and perfect conditions as we get into the Friday evening, whether it's trick-or-treating, or if it's football games, or if it's both, do both. It's going to be a good time for both, as well as we get into that overnight forecast, maybe getting some of those thin clouds on the horizon, making it a little bit spooky, but who knows? Who knows how spooky it'll be? It depends on where you're trick-or-treating, honestly. Here in Tupelo, it's always a fright. But Saturday, as you can see, transitioning into our weekend, it's still going to be those enjoyable conditions with mostly clear skies. Now, temperatures do warm up even that much more from what we're going to see on Thursday. 65 Houston, 61 Boonville, 62 Senatobia, and 65 there towards Greenwood. If we look at our high school game of the week forecast presented by Casey Lott, it's going to be 57 pregame, 51 by halftime, and 49 by that final snap. Now, we'll have the trick-or-treating forecast coming up tonight at 6, but this gives you an idea of just how cool it'll be. Layers almost going to be essential for our trick-or-treaters out there to stay as warm as possible in these conditions. But luckily, we're not tracking any rainfall. And that's a good thing. I remember growing up, if I was trick-or-treating and there was rain, we still went, but it was not a fun time, to say the least. Mississippi State traveling to Fayetteville to take on the Razorbacks of Arkansas. As you can see behind me, there is a chance that maybe an isolated shower, but overall, I would say our rain chances not going to be a factor in this game. It's really going to be that cloud cover blocking the sky throughout our Saturday afternoon. Kickoff is at 3 p.m., so that's what to expect in that forecast beyond, but Mississippi State's not our only team to play on Saturday. Ole Miss taking on the Gamecocks here in Oxford. 57 first play, 54 by halftime, and 53 towards that final snap. Not overly sold on those rain chances. Like I said, I don't think we'll be dealing with that in our forecast for either of our team's gameplay, but it is still going to be a cloudy side and a cooler game, so probably enough to wear some long sleeves to those game days. So 7-day forecast. What do we need to know? Well, drier conditions are in place, high pressure dominating that forecast, but heading into our Halloween morning, 39 degrees, and heading into our weekend mornings, 39 degrees once again. So a cool couple of days for at least the start of those days. But beyond that, warming trend does take place. Low temperatures climb back into the low to mid 40s. High temperatures getting back into the mid to upper 60s. So a little something to look forward to on this soggy and cool Wednesday. Yeah, it's definitely a great and welcome sight here for me, and I hope it's the same for you as well. So coming up tonight at 6, what are we going to be discussing? Well, that trick-or-treating forecast, we're also going to be breaking down Melissa a little bit more. We also have the potential for some of our first frost, potentially by Friday for some specific locations, depending on how cool things get. We'll be looking at that in full detail coming up here in the next 41 minutes. So keep it here for the very latest. Like I said, next broadcast coming up tonight at 6, and then our next one following up at 10 o'clock. And then, of course, our morning show is always readily available with meteorologist Maggie McCauley at 6:30, 7, and 7:30.
A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
Scary that it can be put into anything and we can't even see it or notice it.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.